Do you guys think brutal honesty is the best course? For one thing, if you're not honest with somebody, then invariably some kind of belief system around what you believe in, versus usually that's why we're dishonest, is if we first of all believe that we can't be honest and accepted for being honest and what we personally believe, then you won't be. You'll lie. What was the first time that I think I remember a lot of little white lies when I was a kid because I didn't want to get in trouble. I can't remember any of them specifically, but I remember there were quite a few. I'm sure you guys probably have your own stories. But when it comes to, especially, when you're on your own and you're in the business community, you're working for yourself, if you're afraid of being honest in how people work together, then you'll never get anywhere. You've got to be brutally honest because you don't want to start potential partnerships based on dishonesty. So, and belief systems will invariably get in the way. Here's an interesting question. If you want a relationship based on non-judgment, but you're actually teaching material, then you have to be discerning on what kind of material you teach, because if you don't judge anything as bad, then you can pretty much just teach anything. And if something is, obviously we want to teach things that teach you not to harm yourself. What harms the self? Anything. The self is everything. So any part of us everything is a part of us. So any kind of interaction where we're harming something else is actually harming us. Eating, killing things and eating them. Right? Your body has to metabolize that energy, and it's not natural for the energetic flow of your biofield, right? This is your creative circuit. We're stuffing things in your creative circuit, so you're creating a reverse polarity. It pulls the mind down into the ground. I'm drinking coffee. I'm just explaining something that I'm explaining how I'm a hypocrite. Understanding something, but, can be really difficult to walk certain paths. Meditation and fasting takes a long time to master. Anyway, we still have to understand how we're harming ourselves. Now, if we see everything I heard somebody say, a good friend of mine, anything that's created comes from God, so we need to honor it. Well, the atomic bomb was created, and technically, yeah, God created the atomic bomb. Man, one and the same. But it's a mechanism to produce mass harm to the self. Obviously, we don't want to promote building more atomic bombs. So, we have to recognize the things that we build that cause ourselves harm. So what things cause us harm? Anything that separates us or divides us causes us harm. It creates a separation. And so unless you have a unifying force, then the unifying force, you can't create balance without a unifying force. Right? So how do you balance unconditional love and all these things that separate us, right? Time and space separates us, but gravity or unconditional love, I like to say that gravity and unconditional love is the same thing. It's the natural tendency for two objects to be pulled together, because it's irrespective of space or time or what the object look like or how it acts. It has a natural tendency to pull itself towards its other. It's unconditional. There is no condition around that force pulling us together. And so it's always in play. And if you recognize that force and recognize the reason for why it exists, is because every point in space-time is connected internally. And so that there is no structure that is structures move more and more energy and information depending on its structure and self-awareness. The two are intricately connected. Then theoretically it will contain more unconditional love, but it also has the ability to detach, to make sure that yeah. So the detachment is part of the applied suffering, because if you're attached to any part of it, then suffering starts to occur, because you're, generally speaking, you're trying to control that thing's motion when you're attached to it, and invariably we can't avoid controlling the motion of objects. It's natural. There's no way to keep from controlling the motion of other objects. Just creating energy has a controlling aspect on the motions of the objects around us. It expands infinitely. So as we create energy, it has a controlling effect. But when you look at it from a higher perspective, everything is interacting to come from the center and back to the center. So there really isn't anything, when you think about it, there really isn't anything that's technically bad. That's what creates the duality of the mind, and when we start believing in good and evil. But there is a purpose behind suffering, to help us understand how to not suffer. And the only way to what's good for ourselves, and the only way that this is something that I've understood for a while. And this is how I'm going to close this video. I'm not going to make this a long video. When you can try to teach somebody whatever you want, but people believe what they want to believe. And people generally just don't believe what somebody else has to say. The only way to understand the self is by acute suffering. How do you get out of this suffering state if you apply acute suffering? A lot of people just, they end their own life. But killing yourself is no way out of acute suffering. So, yeah. I've started to understand that suffering is just a part of life. And there's no way around it. And the suffering teaches you where to and not focus your energy. And if we're suffering, why? Why are we suffering? Ask yourself that question. It always starts in the mind. Where is that mental suffering coming from? Are we allergic to suffering? Yeah. Anyway, just some things to think about. Where sometimes teaching what you believe will have no relevance on the outcome of anything, because people learn through negative feedback loops, negative and positive feedback loops. Yeah. I mean, I love everyone, but, is it good for me to just prioritize myself instead of seeing the bigger picture, that we're never going to be happy unless we're growing closer together, or we find balance within one another so that we can work and create together, receive together? If all I do is just create a service and then I just sell something for profit and just pull myself out, then in a way, there's a part of me that's always going to be suffering. Kids out there, it's a part of me. It's how we identify the self, is the real point of suffering. When I identify myself as just this vessel, that is a temporary state of being. Love you guys. Have a great day. And we'll catch you in the next one.